sure how much you have to pay in advance. But there's an idea for you in 2017. When I'm chatting to people at airports, every now and again I bump into people who are going away for medical treatment. Well, here's a medical treatment report based in America, which I felt I should share with you, because I know some people in America do listen to this. And although we're a health station, you may be thinking about doing some medical stuff for yourself. But this new medical tourism report has been published by the Medical Travel Quality Alliance, very handily called MTQUA, and it warns travellers not to have medical procedures done in the Dominican Republic and 4 other countries it's put on a watch list. They're urging people to seek an alternative to the Dominican Republic. At least 4 people in 2015 have died during surgery, and dozens have acquired life-threatening infections they've had to treat in hospital once they get back home. As well as planning holidays, people apparently start planning medical trips in January, and they also mention Thailand, South Korea, India and Mexico, where deaths from weight loss and plastic surgery in certain clinics even, in the border towns of Mexico and America have been widely reported in the American media. Conditions in these countries, according to the MTQUA, present unreasonable and unwarranted risk and possible life-altering harm through including poor quality results, disregard for medical traveller safety, and even death. Medical tourists can keep risk low by using the services of a professional care manager or patient representative at the destination, and one who charges a fee for services. Avoid commission agents pay for bringing patients to a hospital or clinic. Hospitals are generally safer than clinics, as even registered clinics don't follow the same cleanliness and sterile procedures as hospitals, and they may have unlicensed staff and may be remote from emergency facilities. So if you're thinking about travelling for medical treatment, do your homework before you go. I'm pretty sure that most people in the UK won't be popping into those countries. They'll probably be going to Eastern Europe. But if you're fancying going further afield, because it's cheap and you want a little holiday, do take care before you hand any cash over and before you start any treatment. Some 5 interesting facts. Well, they're interesting according to the person who came up with them, so I'm just going to share them with you. The top 3 places in the United States to visit and celebrate New Year's Eve are Las Vegas, Disney World and New York City. The biggest international celebration for New Year's Eve is in Sydney, Australia, where there's more than 80,000 fireworks and more than 1 million people to watch the show. More than 360 million glasses of sparkling wine are consumed during the holiday season. It's the biggest day for champagne consumption. Only 50% of Americans make New Year resolutions, and 25% of those give up their resolutions by the second week in January. The top New Year's resolutions include losing weight, eating healthier, exercising more, quitting smoking, sticking to a budget, saving money, getting more organised, finding a better job, and being a better person. And finally, not all celebrations end happily. More vehicles are stolen on New Year's Day than any other holiday, according to the American National Insurance Crime Bureau. So if you're parking up on New Year's Day, do be careful where you park. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. A story about denied boarding now. You may or may not have heard of this one. The Prime Minister's office says that he will investigate a lawmaker's claim that the US officials prevented a British Muslim family from flying to Disneyland for a planned holiday. A member of the opposition Labour Party said that US officials gave no explanation for refusing to allow her constituents to board a flight from Gatwick Airport. She told the Guardian newspaper this is part of a larger pattern affecting British Muslims, and that a lack of information from US officials is sparking resentment among Muslims. The issue is currently sensitive because it's part of US presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign, and he's called for a temporary ban on all Muslims visiting the US due to concerns about extremist attacks. When this was reported by a Canadian news agency, they said that US embassy officials declined the opportunity to comment on the story. And that's something we should keep an eye on, because it can be difficult to get enough into America as it is without people being seemingly stopped for no reason. I mentioned travelling around England with the roadworks earlier, and now there's another press release. This was from the government. It is travel based if you're driving, so I thought I'd share it. And the government says you should think about the risks of driving the morning after a big night out. An estimated 740 drink-drive accidents in 2013 took place in the morning. Around 5,500 people fail a breath test in the morning each year, an average of 15 per day, which is an average of 15 per day. 58% of people who drink 4 or more pints on a big night out admit to drive in the morning afterwards, with only 1 in 3 of those aware that they could be over the limit still. And as there's lots of Christmas parties and other family events, this could get quite a big problem over the festive period. Just stumble over my words there slightly, but no, I've not had any drink, not yet anyway. New figures show that 58% of people who've had four or more drinks. I really haven't been drinking, honest, on a night out, sometimes take the risk. And even though a drink driving conviction can lose drivers their licence, the most common reason for getting behind the wheel after a heavy night is that they were drinking to get to work, which is 37% of those surveyed. Road Safety Minister even said that getting behind a wheel after a big night is a risk that drivers should not take. And the safest way to enjoy your Christmas celebrations is to wait until you are sober before you think of driving. National Police Chiefs Council leader Suzanne Davenport said the majority of drivers are aware that driving whilst impaired by drink or drugs is not worth the risk, but some do not think about how they will get home or work the next morning after a night out. On average, it takes around 1 hour for the body to break down 1 unit of alcohol, meaning it can take as long as 12 hours for the alcohol from 4 pints of higher strength beer or glasses of wine to leave your system. And researchers suggested that drivers are unaware of the dangers, with a third of people surveyed mistakenly think that drinking water would make them safe to drive, along with sleeping and eating a large meal. Just to remind you about the strict penalties if you're convicted of drink driving in the UK. A minimum of 12-month driving ban, criminal record, a hefty fine, up to 6 months in prison, and an endorsement on your licence for 11 years. And if you're not sure what a unit of alcohol is, 1 unit is equivalent to 10 millilitres or 8 grams of pure alcohol, which is roughly 2.1 units in a standard glass of average strength wine, 3 units in a large glass, 2 units in a pint of low strength lager, beer or cider, 3 units in a pint of higher strength lager, beer or cider, and 1 unit in a measure of spirits. So if you are drinking a lot this festive period, do be aware you could be over the limit when you go to work or go somewhere else the next morning. You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. So as I mentioned earlier, people use this time of year to plan their trips for the following summer. And you may or may not notice that there's been a new science fiction film coming out, something called Star Wars. It might be a big thing, I don't know myself. But anyway, Visit Canada seems to be investing a lot of time and effort into the film, because they're put together a load of journeys you can take if you visit California next year. You can train as a Jedi pilot in Sacramento or Anaheim. You can put a Death Star in perspective at Legoland, California. You can look at a sea of action figures at Ranch Obi-Wan. They're saying that some go to Samoa County for wine, but others visit the museum near Petaluma of Rancho Obi-Wan. It's home to the world's largest private collection of Star Wars memorabilia and props, including a few vintage pinball and arcade video games. There's no casual drive-by though. This tour is by appointment only, and the guided tour lasts between 2 and 4 hours, and adult accompanied kids 12 and under get in free. I can think 1 or 2 mums who wouldn't like being dragged around the museum for 4 hours. You can spend a week at Tatooine in Death Valley, with many of the desert planet scenes in episode, that's what this IV, which I think is 4, were filmed in Tunisia, but a few choice locales were shot in California as well. So there's Death Valley National Park. You can discover distant planets at the Griffiths Park Observatory in Los Angeles. and you can have a look at the stars through there. For these sort of Star Wars trips and more travel information for California, I suggest you visit california.com. An 8-year-old child is drowned in a swimming pool on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, the Liberty of the Seas. Another passenger pulled the boy out of the water, but ship medical staff who performed CPR for more than an hour were unable to save him. Fellow passengers were informed of the incident by a letter. The letter read that the cruise company extends their most sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family and friends. And the Liberty of the Seas, the boat, is currently on a 7-night sailing trip out of Galveston, Texas to around Mexico. And what bringing this up for, if you're travelling with kids and you're thinking about planning a cruise for next year, there are no lifeguards at the moment on any Royal Caribbean ships. Disney Cruise Line is the only major line that employs lifeguards at sea. And this was a policy that was brought in after a near drowning of a 4-year-old in a Disney fantasy ship in 2013. So when you're planning for your holiday for next year, don't forget to plan safety as well as how cheap you can get it. A man and a woman have been detained in Paris over the fake device found in the toilet that caused an Air France flight 463 to make an emergency landing in Kenya. According to reports, a 58-year-old ex-policeman from the Indian Ocean island of Reunion, and that's not how they pronounced it on the news recently, but I think you know what I mean if I say it by Reunion, and his wife had been detained by the police. The suspicious device was made of cardboard and a kitchen timer, and was planted in the toilet of the plane, which was travelling from Mauritius to Paris. The aircraft was evacuated at Mombasa Airport, and 459 passengers and 14 crew members were on board at the time. Air France Chief Executive Frédéric Gagey said that the planting of the device was a bad joke and follows 3 bomb scares on Air France aircraft in the US in the last month. Of all the places to be emergency landing, I think Kenya wouldn't be my choice, and I'm pretty sure those passengers who weren't involved didn't have a great experience because the security staff there can be very grumpy. I think that's the word I can put. And sticking with France, a festive period, it's a period of doing good and helping out others. But some of you may be tempted to go over to Calais to hand out stuff to the people living in the tents there who are trying to get across. With the latest update from the Foreign Commonwealth Office, says that if you're concerned about the situation in Calais and want to make a donation, you should give to registered, experienced humanitarian charities in order to best help migrants and to ensure your own safety. And also, there's been an alert on terrorism. The French government has confirmed that security measures will be stepped up over Christmas and New Year for places of worship, markets and other locations. So if you are thinking about helping out those who are trying to get across from Calais, don't go off and do it on your own. The government says your safety could be compromised, and do use registered, authorised charities and donate to them your time or your money. And do take care when you're in public spaces over the festive period, not just in France, but wherever you are. Just be more aware, just for your own personal safety. Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com.
If you're going abroad by plane, boat, or the family car. If you're going abroad for pleasure or business. There's one essential thing to do before you go. Check the expiry date on your European Health Insurance card. You can renew it up to 6 months before it expires. Visit nhs.uk/healthcareabroad or call 0845 606 2030. Bon voyage!
What about my phone call? I want to call my family.
Too late now.
Please, please, please.
Step through now, please.
Oh, no.
Too late now.
Here's the goods. You take them in false bottom bag, you strap them to your body, it's up to you.
Look, I've changed my mind. I want out.
Too late now.
So, You're offering me a free holiday?
Yeah.